Black Panther was arrested on live television by his own allies. The Avengers claimed he betrayed Earth, but gave no proof. Wakanda called it a political setup. Iron Man called it treason from the inside. But when Superman arrived from another universe, he didn't come as a savior, he came as a judge. One hero stood for truth, another for power, and one was already lying. The fall of the Panther. The skies above Wakanda cracked like glass. It was supposed to be a peace summit. Kings, tech leaders, and Avengers all gathered to sign the Global Power Balance Accord. Cameras from 100 nations broadcast the event live. Black Panther, King T'Challa, stood proud at the center of it all, hands behind his back, wearing his ceremonial vibranium armor. The world watched. Then Iron Man's voice cut through the air. Avengers, initiate protocol red. Target is compromised. Secure the king. The crowd froze. Thor landed hard beside T'Challa, hammer raised. Captain Marvel hovered above with her hands glowing. Even Doctor Strange opened a portal, ready to cut off the king's escape. What is the meaning of this? T'Challa demanded, his voice calm but thunderous. You leaked the schematics of Wakandan energy systems to an off-world enemy, Natasha said coldly, stepping forward in full Black Widow gear. We have the logs. I leaked nothing. Iron Man didn't speak. He simply raised his gauntlet and pointed it at the king's chest. The summit descended into chaos. Wakandan guards pulled weapons. Journalists screamed. Drones scrambled for coverage as the unthinkable happened. Earth's mightiest heroes arrested one of their own, not in secret, but live before the world. T'Challa didn't resist. He looked directly into Tony's eyes and said 5 words. Ask Stark who built it. 2 hours later, shield secure, holding facility. The world was on fire. Hashtags exploded across every screen. Hashtag Free the Panther. Hashtag Wakanda Framed. Hashtag Avengers Corrupt. Countries condemned the Avengers move. Wakanda severed all diplomatic ties within the hour. Vibranium exports halted. Several nations pulled funding from the Global Accord. But inside the dark glass cell, T'Challa sat in silence. On the other side of the glass, Tony Stark paced. Did you build it, Stark? T'Challa asked through the intercom. Build what? The gateway. Tony paused. There are a lot of gateways, T'Challa. This one was different, T'Challa said. It didn't open to space. It opened to somewhere else. And someone used it. Tony turned, face tightening. You were the only one with access to that data. T'Challa stood slowly. I was monitoring it, not sharing it. And I wasn't the only one. A silence hung between them. You're being played, Stark, T'Challa said. And you're going to realize it when it's too late. Avengers compound, undisclosed location. Captain Marvel slammed her fist into the wall. This is going to tear us apart, she hissed. We can't do this to one of our own, publicly. Doctor Strange's voice was colder. We had to act. You saw the signal. Off-world encryption. Wakandan power frequencies. Or a setup, Natasha muttered. We moved too fast. Again. We didn't move fast enough, Strange replied. The council approved it. The portal logs prove. But he was cut off by Tony bursting into the room, face pale. You said he leaked gateway tech, Tony barked. He did. Then why does the system show a second upload? Under my credentials? Everyone froze. 2 nights earlier, footage recovered by Stark AI. Tony sat alone in his lab, eyes bloodshot, holograms floating around him. He played it again. A blurred figure in his own armor, the Mark 49 prototype, moving silently through the lab, inserting a Wakandan vibranium drive. It uploaded data into the Avengers mainframe and rerouted it to deep space coordinates. Except it wasn't Tony. His AI confirmed the armor had been remotely hijacked. Someone inside the system spoofed his ID. Someone close. Someone with access. His voice cracked. Jarvis, who ran the override. The answer came cold. Override was authorized by Dr. Stephen Strange. Meanwhile, shield-holding cell. A shadow entered the room. Not a guard. Not an Avenger. Superman. He walked slowly toward the cell, cape drifting behind him, eyes glowing faintly. Cameras caught it live. News anchors screamed across timelines. Superman arrives on Earth. 199999. Is he here to judge the Avengers? T'Challa didn't even look up. So, they sent a god. Superman nodded. Not to punish, to listen. I told the truth, T'Challa said. The lie came from your friends. Superman stepped forward. Then tell me everything. And T'Challa did. Back at the compound, Iron Man returns. Tony burst into the main briefing hall, eyes blazing. You lied to me, he shouted at Strange. Thor stood, confused. What is this madness? You framed him, Tony growled. You used my suit, my lab. You made it look like T'Challa sold us out, when you were the one routing data. Dr. Strange didn't flinch. And I'd do it again. Gasps filled the room. Wakanda's power was rising too fast, Strange said. We needed oversight. He wouldn't comply, so we forced balance. Iron Man's repulsor charged. You call that balance? But before he could fire, a boom echoed from outside. A red cape flew through the glass. Superman landed. He looked at every Avenger and said 4 words. You arrested the wrong man. Iron Man's doubt and the secret council. The compound silence was louder than war. Superman's words still echoed in Tony's mind. You arrested the wrong man. No one argued. Not even Strange. Not even Thor. No one moved when Clark left the chamber. Not in shame, but in paralysis. They had power, yes, but they didn't have truth. Tony didn't wait. He flew out of the compound and vanished from radar. He returned to the one place untouched, an off-grid bunker in the Nevada desert, where his old prototype slept. No AI surveillance. No Avengers security. Just him, a hard drive, and the truth. He connected to the master suit log, and the timeline lit up. The Mark 49 armor had been activated during a blackout, with no log of manual override. That was impossible. Only one person could do that. Him. Unless the system was rerouted. Tony's fingers flew across the interface. He traced the unauthorized access point. It wasn't Wakandan. It wasn't even alien. It was internal. Someone inside the Avengers had cloned his voice command, spoofed his retinal signature, and backdated a signature upload to match Black Panther's lab server. It was surgical, personal, and deliberate. He replayed T'Challa's words. Ask Stark, who really built the gateway. The gateway hadn't been touched in 2 years. A joint Avengers-Wakanda experiment to open safe wormholes without damaging local atmospheres. Tony and T'Challa co-engineered it, but the project was mothballed, except someone restarted it. 2 weeks ago, someone authorized a test jump, and the return payload wasn't tech. It was data, classified Wakandan energy maps, political AI models, tactical simulations, all of it stolen and leaked. But not to Earth enemies, not to Thanos remnants, to someone in space, someone watching. And Tony recognized the signature. Strange. Back then he ignored the encrypted logs Strange requested for research. But now decrypted, it showed red flags. Magic wasn't needed, just arrogance and access. Tony's chest tightened. This wasn't about betrayal. This was about preemptive control. Black Panther wasn't the threat. He was the wall. Tony flew back to New York under cloak mode. He didn't go to the tower. He didn't go to Wakanda. He went to Fury. Nick Fury didn't flinch when the suit landed in his alley. You finally saw it? Fury asked, tossing Tony a black folder. You knew. I suspected. Why didn't you stop it? I wasn't supposed to be watching anymore, remember? But this, Fury lit a cigar. This crossed the line. Tony opened the file. Photos, meeting transcripts, redacted audio logs. A council, secret, small, and dangerous. Thor, Strange, Captain Marvel, sometimes Steve, Natasha once. They called it Override, a fail-safe group to neutralize threats before they became threats. And their first target? Wakanda, because Wakanda had the power to say no. Fury spoke slowly. Override believes nations with unchecked tech are unstable. That if they don't follow Avengers protocol, they become future Ultrons. So they framed a king, Tony's voice shook. No, Fury said, eyes cold. They neutralized a variable. Back at the Avengers Tower, the tension split the team. Captain Marvel stood by the arrest. He was reckless, she told Thor. He withheld too much for too long. So do you, Thor replied. We all have secrets. Or shall I tell them about the Celestial Gate on Jupiter? She didn't respond. Black Widow didn't say a word. She just kept watching the replay. The look on Chalia's face when they betrayed him. The stillness in his stance. Like he expected it. Wanda appeared behind her. He's not angry. Natasha turned. You've seen him. I saw his mind, Wanda whispered. He doesn't want revenge. Then what? He wants us to know we were wrong. Superman returned quietly. He met Tony in the sky above the Atlantic. Tony hovered in the Mark 85 armor. Superman floated calmly beside him, arms crossed. You're going to expose them? Clark asked. I have to. It'll break the team. It's already broken. Clark nodded. Then we fix it. Tony stared ahead. You're not even from here. Clark's eyes burned gently. Truth belongs to every world. The next day, Tony Stark walked into the United Nations chamber. Alone, he stood before 198 countries and delivered a live broadcast. 2 weeks ago, Black Panther was arrested under false pretenses, he began. And I was used to do it. Whispers, cameras, panic. He continued. I was manipulated by a covert faction within the Avengers, a group called Override, who believed preemptive control was better than global trust. And then he dropped it. The footage. A hologram lit up. The council vote. The fake logins. Strange authorizing the transfer. Captain Marvel approving the takedown. The world erupted. Across every screen, it wasn't Wakanda who looked guilty anymore. It was the Avengers. Doctor Strange watched it unfold from the sanctum. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. Thor stood beside him. You planned it all, didn't you? Strange's voice was calm. The king was never the problem. Then what was? Strange looked out the window. Power that answers to no one. You mean Wakanda? No, Strange said. I mean Superman. Thor's breath caught. This was the test, Strange whispered. And now he's involved. In Wakanda, Black Panther was freed without fanfare. He walked through the gates without guards, reporters, or revenge. Just silence. Shuri met him. You could have destroyed them. I still might, he said. She smiled. You always were patient, but not forever. He turned to the camera drone hovering nearby. He stared into it and spoke. Earth does not need kings or gods or armored men who decide in shadows. We need something else now, something better. Back in New York, the Avengers were silent. Tony stood in the meeting room, facing the team. I'll be gone for a while, he said. Where to? Banner asked. Does it matter? Tony replied. I built the tower. Does it mean I get to live in it? He turned to leave. Superman stood in the doorway. You sure you want to do this? Clark asked. Tony glanced back at them all. I'm not sure of anything anymore. He walked out. The doors closed behind him, and the world watched the Avengers crumble. Not from alien war, not from multiversal chaos, but from inside. Superman didn't fly in with thunder. He walked through the UN gates like a man with a question. Not a weapon, not a crown, but a presence so powerful it made the air feel heavier. Security didn't stop him. No one dared. They didn't know why he was there, but they knew he wasn't going to stay silent. Inside the main assembly, the tension was thick enough to bend steel. The Avengers sat in divided silence. Thor had returned from Asgard and said nothing. Captain Marvel stayed in orbit. Doctor Strange didn't flinch when Superman entered. But Tony stood up. Clark, he said flatly. Superman didn't blink. I'm here to review what happened. This isn't your world, Strange said, standing. It is now, Superman answered, because you made it multiversal. He tapped the table once. A small projector flickered to life, showing the intercepted Wakandan gateway footage. Only this time, it was layered with Kal-El's own analysis. Energy trails, false data signatures, mismatched timestamps. None of it lines up, he said. The evidence used to arrest Black Panther was manipulated. Silence. Superman continued. Your files say Chala exported vibranium weapon specs. But my scans show the file was created after he was already in custody. And who modified it? Natasha asked, leaning forward. Superman turned. The encryption route goes through the sanctum sanctorum. All eyes hit Strange. I did what was necessary, Strange said without shame. Wakanda was arming itself for something. We couldn't take the risk. Superman stepped closer. So you planted false data? I redirected truth before it became danger. You don't get to define that, Superman said coldly. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, Strange replied. If I don't, who will? Superman didn't respond. He turned, cape trailing like judgment, and walked out. But before he left, he said one thing. I'm going to speak to the king. The raft wasn't supposed to hold royalty. But Black Panther didn't sit like a prisoner. He sat in meditation, calm, untouched by the metallic grayness around him. When Superman entered, the guards didn't react. They were told not to interfere. You came, Chala said, without opening his eyes. I wanted to hear your version. Chala opened them. It wasn't a version. It was a warning. But no one listened. Tell me everything, Superman said. And he did. The secret meetings. The rising fear of Wakanda's independence. The Override Project. How he discovered that Strange was reactivating the gateway. How he traced encrypted pings to an interstellar listening device, not alien, but seated by someone in the council. I didn't leak anything, Chala said. I protected what was left. Superman was silent for a long time. Then he asked, what would you do now if I opened that door? Chala stood, not aggressive, just ready. I wouldn't run. I'd show them the truth. Superman nodded and walked out. News spread in minutes. Superman visits Black Panther. Demands Avengers answer. DC judge arrives for Marvel's heroes. Is this the end of the Avengers as we know them? Wakanda's embassy sent drones. The UN called emergency meetings. Fans rioted. Supporters rallied. The Avengers were no longer symbols. They were suspects. Inside Avengers Tower, Tony loaded a final decryption key into Friday's system. He was tired, bone deep tired. But what he found next shattered him. There wasn't just one frame job. There were multiple. Override had blacklisted 6 other names. Wanda, Hulk, Ant-Man, Falcon, even Rhodey, people they considered unstable assets. He activated the file, Project Silence, an internal Avengers effort to pre-label unpredictable heroes and discredit them publicly before they could resist. Tony felt sick. He sent it all to Superman. When the footage aired, the world flipped. A press conference. No Avengers, just Superman. He stood on the steps of the United Nations, wind in his cape, voice calm but unshakable. The Avengers were infiltrated by fear, he said, not from enemies, but from their own. He revealed the files, overrides intervotes their assessments, and their plans to neutralize heroes deemed volatile. When asked if he planned to take over, Superman said, no, Earth belongs to its people, but truth belongs to everyone. And then he left. Inside the tower, Strange smashed the screen in fury. They've made him the moral compass, he hissed. An outsider. He's not wrong, Natasha whispered. You're choosing him, he snapped. I'm choosing the truth, she said. Strange turned to Thor. What about you? Thor looked down. I once said only the worthy lift Mjolnir. I no longer know who's worthy. He left the room. Override was collapsing from within, and not a single fist was thrown. Yet, Superman flew back to the raft that night. Chala was standing by the glass. The door's open, Cal said. I never needed it open, Chala answered. I needed them to see. They saw. Then we're not done. What happens next? Black Panther's voice was steady. They think they can lead through fear. We'll remind them, power without trust is collapse. Superman nodded, but he had one question left. Do you forgive them? Chala smiled faintly. No, but I'll outlive them. The world wasn't watching heroes anymore. It was choosing sides. The betrayer revealed, and the plan exposed. The sanctum sanctorum pulsed with energy. Dr. Strange stood alone, cloak fluttering, watching the multiverse bend in quiet spirals above him. He had predicted collapse, but not like this. Override had been exposed, their files decrypted. The world had seen the inner plans. The Avengers were no longer a team, they were a headline. He turned when a spark lit the room. Wanda walked through the mirror portal, her eyes glowing red. "You planned it," she said, her voice cold. "You were on the list, Wanda. You were unstable. And you were jealous," she fired back. "Of Chala, of Superman, of anyone who challenged your control." Strange didn't deny it. He simply raised a hand, not to fight, but to reveal. A projection lit up. The original schematics of the Wakandan Gateway. But it had been rewired, not just to transfer energy or data. It was designed to monitor minds, to track thought patterns, political intent, fear signatures. It wasn't just tech, it was psychic surveillance. Override wasn't about protecting Earth, Wanda whispered. It was about preempting rebellion. "You can't lead gods and kings with democracy," Strange muttered. "You have to control them." But behind him, a second figure appeared. Superman. He stepped out of the shadow, silently. That's what tyrants say right before they fall. Strange turned, eyes burning. "You don't belong here." "I belong where truth is broken," Superman answered, "and where people are too afraid to fix it." The tension cracked. But before Strange could react, Iron Man blasted through the roof. He landed hard between them, armor dented, chest reactor lit like a warning. "I decrypted everything," Tony said. "The gateway, the protocols, the override backup vault." Strange's eyes widened. "You went into my private layer?" "No," Tony said. "I went into your backup layer. The one you sent to Kamartaj. The one with the real plan." He threw a projection into the air, and this time it was bigger than tech. It showed names. Override wasn't just a secret Avengers group. It had partners, high-ranking world leaders, artificial AI watchdogs, cosmic entities, even Kree liaisons. They weren't protecting Earth. They were preparing to rebuild it under control, with Strange as the anchor between dimensions. "He didn't just frame Chala," Tony said. "You sold Earth's autonomy to stay ahead of the future." Strange silence said enough. Wanda stepped forward. "You used us. You feared our minds, our strength, our choices. And now it's your turn to fear." But Strange had one last card. He waved a hand, and reality trembled. A failsafe spell burned into the floor, lit up. "None of you are leaving this room," he whispered. But the moment froze. Superman was already moving, faster than magic, faster than light. He ripped the sigil from the ground, shattered the spell structure, and threw Strange into the wall without laying a single finger. "You've lost," he said. "No," Strange whispered, bleeding. "I've delayed." And then he vanished through a dimensional slit, gone without trace. Tony looked around. The gateway blueprints were still glowing. Wanda looked up. "He's not done." Tony stared at the shimmering equations. "Neither are we." War at the edge, and the King's judgment. Wakanda's skies were no longer silent. A dimensional scar hovered just above the capital, glowing unstable, humming with leftover energy from Strange's escape. It pulsed like a wound. And from that wound, something was trying to come through. The gateway was active again. Tony hovered in the air beside Superman and Wanda. The tower's sensors confirmed it. The spell code embedded into the portal wasn't just Strange doing. It had been hijacked, and it was pulling power from multiple worlds. Thor joined them, Stormbreaker in hand. The boundary weakens. Whatever's behind it doesn't belong. Shuri's voice came over comms. "We've built a failsafe using vibranium nodes, but we can't hold it alone. Wakanda will stand, but we need you to stand with us." Black Panther was already walking toward the platform. He was no longer wearing ceremonial robes. He wore the armor, but this time it wasn't for defense. It was for judgment. The Avengers who remained, Natasha, Bruce, Falcon, arrived without hesitation. No council, no vote, just instinct. Not to protect Wakanda, to defend truth. As the sky opened wider, creatures of fractured dimension spilled through. Not demons, not aliens, duplicates, twisted copies of Earth's mightiest, corrupted by strange failsafe multiverse net. A version of Hulk with mechanical limbs. A Wanda whose eyes bled chaos. A Thor made of stone and thunder. The real heroes didn't flinch. Iron Man took to the air and fired first. The battle exploded. Superman blurred through 3 variants at once, his fists striking like justice itself. Wanda fought her darker self with silent fury, bending hex and mirror spell alike. Thor roared, Stormbreaker carving sky and steel. But in the center of it all, Black Panther didn't fight. He walked through the chaos, untouched, heading straight toward the gate. The battle slowed around him, almost respecting his presence. And then the sky cracked again. Strange returned, floating just beyond the gate, eyes glowing, voice amplified by the rift. I told you, balance must be taken, not asked for. T'Challa stared at him. You feared Wakanda's power. I feared what you would become. You created the very enemy you tried to prevent. Strange raised his hand, powering the gate for one final surge. But a voice cut through. Superman, you don't get to choose the future. Then he flew, faster than Strange could cast, faster than time, and shattered the spell frame with a single blow. The portal collapsed. The sky healed. The war ended. Black Panther stood over the fractured remains of the gateway, looking down at the pieces of strange design. He turned to the heroes. Wakanda will rebuild, he said, but the Avengers must re-earn their name. No one argued. Iron Man stepped forward, armor retracting from his face. Then we start with one thing, he said. Tony extended a hand, not as a leader, as a man who saw his mistakes. T'Challa stared at it for a moment, then accepted. Later that night, the world watched a new broadcast, this time not from Superman or the UN or Iron Man, but from Wakanda. T'Challa stood at the edge of a silent city. There will always be fear, he said. There will always be men who mistake control for justice. But the world doesn't need kings or saviors. It needs accountability. The screen faded to black, and across Earth and beyond, silence finally returned. The end.